Hi, I'm Anna. Welcome to my channel. And today we are doing a Vinyasa flow, quite a strong class, but I'll give modifications for all levels, so no worries. And let's jump in today, just coming into a toe set. So coming up, tucking the toes under, and then sitting back onto the heels. If this is too much pressure through the feet, then you just keep the hands on the floor and just take as much weight as you can back through the heels. Taking the hands into the lap, closing the eyes, and beginning to bring your awareness to the breath. Let's begin to deepen and broaden the breath. So inhaling nice and deep down into the belly. On each inhale, see if you can also focus the breath into the side of the ribs and into the back. So we're getting this nice 360-degree expansion. Soften the belly, no gripping or pulling in. Soften the face, the shoulders. Now just turning your attention to your mood, or is there a main emotion coloring your experience right now? And just noticing that feeling. Perhaps there's some anxiety, some stress, or some other mood or emotion that is there for you. Noticing what that feels like in the body. Is it associated with a physical sensation, perhaps in the chest, the throat, the belly? And just directing your next breath into that area. On the exhale, see if you can release just a little bit of tension in that part of the body. Maybe you can even extend a little bit of kindness, some metta to yourself for having this feeling, rather than judging or analyzing or delving into any story around it. Nice. Gently opening your eyes, coming forward off the toes, untucking, feel the blood rushing back in, give them a little tap. Now we're going to come up into a high kneeling position. And from here, taking the left arm down the side of the leg, sweep the right arm up and over. Think about grounding down through the right side so we get this nice stretch all the way down from the arm right down the side, the leg. Switching over, right side hand down the side, left arm reach up and over. Keep that breath going nice and steady and even. Now we're going to take the hands forward, turn the palms out, back of the hands together. Really find that rounding through the shoulder blades. So the scapula are moving away from each other. Drop the shoulders down, away from the ears. And then open out through the chest. Take the head back, extend the chest up. Keep a little tuck through the tail, so we're not getting too much arch through the lumbar spine. And then forward again, back of the hands together. And open out again through the chest. Nice. Let's take a little bit of rotation here. So twisting towards the right and then reach back towards the back of the room with that left hand. Back to center, right hand reaches around towards the back of the room. Nice, one more time, left arm reach. Right arm reaches back. Nice, back to the front. Arms come up now on either side. And here we're going to reach over to the left as we rotate that right shoulder in and down. Back to center, left shoulder in and down. Nice. Breath continues just like a rhythm. Nice inhale, exhale, nice and smooth. Nice. Back to center. Let's keep the arms where they are and just making little circles with the hands moving forward. So here we want the shoulders away from the ears so we're not hiking them up around here. And feel the core stabilizing you. So we're trying to keep the torso as still as possible. So we're using the core to stabilize. Let's make the circles a little bit bigger. Nice, and a little bit smaller again. And now reverse. So start with small circles. And a little bit bigger. Nice, and bring the arms down just for a sec. And now hands up overhead, and let's take the hands nice and wide, opening out the fists, and then take them into clenched. Opening and closing. So really stretch the fingers out and then close them tightly. I'm going to start to speed this up a little bit. So open, close, a bit faster. Keep going. I know, the forearms, wakes the forearms up, this one. A little bit more. A bit faster. Nice. And shake it down. Nice. Okay. From here, we're going to come over into our all fours position now and just take a little bit of movement through the hips. So taking some circles with the hips over the wrists. So really try and trace the biggest circle that you can with the hips. So coming all the way back to the side, forward, other side, and back. Okay, changing the direction. Nice, and coming back to all fours. Here, bringing the weight slightly into the left side of the body as we lift the right heel up towards the ceiling. Here, maintaining that nice neutral back, so we're not allowing that back arch to happen. And then we're going to open the hip out to the side and circle it round, nice and slow and with control. Keep pressing the hands down firmly into the mat. Trying to keep the rest of the body nice and still to stabilize. Nice, last one. Bring it down. Slowly over to the other side. Left leg lifts up. Keep that tuck through the tail. And we circle. Don't have to lift as high as this. If that causes you to lose that stability through the low back, you can keep the circles a little bit smaller, closer to the ground. Nice, and back down. Coming back now into a child's pose, but keep the toes tucked under. And let's take some spinal waves. So starting to wave forward along the mat. Keep the chin tucked as the hips come down. Chest and chin lift up. Tuck the chin. Press the ground away round through the scapula as we wave all the way back. So these are nice and slow and controlled so that we can really feel that articulation of the spine. Each vertebra waving one at a time. Nice, we're going to take a few more of these, can continue like this, or we lift the knees up off the floor. And coming into this movement from a downward dog. But really bend the knees towards the floor on each one and then initiate the wave from there. Arms stay straight throughout. On your next one, dropping back down to the knees. Let's fire up a little bit through the upper body. Coming back again into that down dog, that child's pose with the toes tucked. Then keeping the elbows bent this time as we rock forward. Coming into chaturanga position on the knees. And press it back. So nice and strong through the upper body. Press the hands down through the floor. And press it back. Okay, a few more of these. Option to add on as you come forward, the knees come off and come back. Two more of either option. Nice, take a moment in your child's pose. Let's take the right hand out to the side, up onto the pinky edge of the left hand, and take a little twist here, side reach. Back to center, then over to the other side, left hand over, pinky side of the right hand, and sink it down. Back to center. Okay, coming back up onto all fours, we're going to rock back into a down dog, but we're not going to rush there. Tuck the toes under. Inhale, prepare. Exhale as you switch on through the core. Press the hands into the mat, tuck the toes, lift the knees just a tiny bit off the floor. Nice, hold here. Keep holding. Now you're going to see if you can lift the left foot and the right hand off the mat and just hover there. Pop them down. Other side, right foot, left hand. If this feels impossible for you, you just try lifting the hips a little higher and try from there. Pop it down. Okay, send the hips back into a downward dog. You can keep a nice bend through the knees, and let's pedal out through the feet. Nice, taking a little side to side with the hips. Little twisty hips. Back to center. Then starting just to bend through the elbows a little bit and taking some chest barrels here. So rotating around like you're trying to trace the inside of a barrel. Stuck in a barrel for some reason. Other way. Okay, coming back to your down dog, let's start to walk the hands in towards the feet. Keep the legs as straight as you can, but they can have a little bend. And then just take a forward fold over the legs. Hands to the floor, fingertips, blocks, or you can just have them on the legs. And let's walk out the legs here one at a time, just pedaling. And then taking a nice roll up to stand. Okay, so coming to the front of your mat, I'm just going to turn around. Taking mountain pose, grounding down through the feet. Lift the toes, spread them wide, plant them down into the floor. A little bit of a bend through the knees, nice and tall with the posture without flaring the ribs. So rib cage pointing down towards the pelvis. Nice neutral spine. Okay, let's take the hands back, either reaching back behind you like this or clasping the hands if you can and take them behind you. Coming down into a chair pose. Then from here we're going to open out towards the left, gazing up, back to center, over to the right. Back to center, straighten through the legs as we tip forward. Can keep a little bend here if you need to. And then taking the hands up and over. If you're not clasping, you're just reaching back with the hands. And coming all the way up. Keeping that little bend through the knees. Taking the hands down to the floor, plant the hands on the mat. Step it all the way back to plank. You can be on your knees or toes here. A nice slow lower all the way down. Taking the left hand out to the side, shoulder height or above. A little bit more intense is to bend through the elbow into a cactus arm. Then we're coming up onto the left-hand side. You can support yourself with the right fingertips. Keep pressing that left hand firmly down into the floor. If you want to add on a little bit, then you can either take hold of the knee or the foot. Open out through that hip. Releasing the leg if you have that up. Back onto the middle, onto your belly and the other side. So right arm out to the side, coming up and over. And then option to add on with the leg. Coming all the way back over onto the belly. And here we're going to come up either into a cobra pose, or you can come up into upward facing dog, up on the tops of the feet. Lowering back down, pressing yourself all the way up to a plank, knees or toes. Back to our downward facing dog. Here we're going to come up into our one-legged dog, right leg lifts. Keep the hips square down towards the floor. Then let's open out through the hip. Back, toes back towards the floor. See if we can step that foot all the way in between the hands, even if it needs a few steps or a bit of a helping hand from the leg. Coming all the way up into our crescent lunge. Opening out warrior two. Revolving into revolved warrior. Lowering that back foot all the way down. Option either to stay here or take that left hand down to the floor, bring the right leg in and take hold of the foot. Let go of that foot, bring it back down with control, coming all the way back up into our revolved warrior, and then reversing all the way back, warrior two, crescent lunge, hands down to the floor, lift that leg into the nose, send it back to our downward facing. Okay, left leg lifts. Keep those toes face down towards the floor. Then open the hip out. When we open the hip, careful not to collapse through that right shoulder. Keep pressing firmly down into the mat with the right hand. Toes back towards the floor. Step that foot as far as you can between the hands, coming all the way up, crescent lunge. Open out warrior two, nice and active and strong through the arms. Then all the way into our revolved warrior. Lower down all the way to the mat. Hold here, or right hand down and left hand comes back for the foot. Letting it go with control, tuck the toes, press all the way back up, revolved warrior, reverse it, warrior two, crescent lunge. Hands down to the floor, frame the foot. If you can lift that leg all the way into the chest, send it back, one-legged dog, and back to downward facing. Gazing forward between the hands, let's step or hop the feet down into our chair pose, clasp or hands coming back and lifting all the way up to stand. Release the clasp. Coming back to the breath. Feel that heat and sensation through the body, and we'll go again. Inhale, coming down. Hands back or clasp. Open out to the left. Back to center, out to the right. So if you can keep the knees in alignment, don't let the hips shift back. Slight straightening of the legs as we fold forward. Can't find the words today. All the way back into your chair pose. Release the hands. Place them down on the floor. Step it back. Nice. Hold in plank. Knees or toes lowering all the way down with control. Okay, left side. Hand out straight or to that cactus shape as you come all the way over onto the side. This foot might not be on the floor. It's okay if it's just hanging. You can even keep it in front if you need to. Adding on with the hand if you like. Slowly coming out of this side, rolling all the way onto the belly and right side. Coming all the way back on the belly, preparing to press all the way back, up into plank, knees or toes, hands pressing strongly into the floor, all the way up. Press it back to downward facing. From here, we're going to lift the right leg. Send it back, toes face down towards the floor. Then open out through the hip. Keeping the shoulders even, pressing firmly through the hands. Close the hip, send it forward. See if you can step all the way between the hands, coming up, crescent lunge. Keep a little tuck through the tail. So we want to feel that stretch through the front of the hip here. Opening out, warrior two. A little bit deeper with the lunge. All the way around, revolved warrior. Keep sending the right hip forward, the left hip forward, right hip back, lower it all the way down to the floor. Staying here, or left hand comes down, bring that right foot in. Should feel this stretch in the front of the left hip, down the front leg. Release the foot. Pressing all the way back up. Revolved warrior. Warrior two. Crescent lunge. Hands come down to the floor. Press the mat away. Send it all the way back. Downward facing, left side. Left leg back, toes face down. Feel that leg pulling your arms nice and long. Open through the hip. Close the hip. Send that foot all the way between the hands. Crescent lunge. Warrior two. Revolved warrior. Send that right hip forward, left hip back. Lower down with control. Optional, right hand down. Bring that left foot in. Gently release. All the way. Keep your evolved warrior. Press it back up. Warrior 2. Crescent lunge. Take the hands down. Press into the mat. Create that space. Send it back. One-legged dog. Downward facing. Get a little bit springy through the knees as we prepare to step or hop forward with the feet. Nice deep bend through the knees. Take that clasp. Open out through the chest. All the way back to stand. Nice. Come back to the breath. Grounding back into yourself. Last time. Inhale, chair. Clasp or hands coming back behind. Open out through the left. Back to center, over to the right. Back to center. Slight straightening of the legs as you come forward and open out through the shoulders. All the way back up. Release the clasp, hands down, hop or step it back to your plank. Nice and strong, lower it down. Left arm comes out as we tilt over onto the left-hand side. Optional to add the leg. Keep pressing that left hand firmly down into the floor. It's quite an active position. Slowly roll back onto your belly. Switch it over. Right arm out. Tilting over onto that right hand side. Pressing firmly down with the right arm. Slowly back onto the belly. Preparing to come up. Hands under the shoulders. Tuck the toes. Nice straight tight body line as we press all the way up. Press it back. Downward facing. Right leg. Send it back. Toes face down towards the floor. Open out through that right hip. This time, option to bend the knee and come all the way over into a wild thing, or you just stay here and take some circles with the knee to open out through the hip. If you're taking wild thing, coming forward, loading into that arm, all the way over, open out through the chest, strong through that grounding hand. And reverse, all the way back over into your downward facing. And then we'll all come forward and step that right foot between the hands. Up into your crescent lunge. Tuck through the tail. Nice stretch through that back hip. Open out, warrior 2. This time, keeping that depth through the lunge, flip that front hand and leaning back. Back to your warrior 2. all the way around into your evolved warrior. Lowering that knee all the way down to the floor. Left hand down, option to take the foot. Gently release. Coming all the way back up into our evolved warrior. Back to warrior two. Crescent lunge. Hands down. Frame the foot. Step it back. Really giving my monstera a workout today. Sorry, my darling. And over to the left side. Keeping those toes face down to the floor. Then let's open out through the hip. Bend through the knee, preparing for our wild thing, or you're just staying here, taking your hip circles. Wild thing, coming forward, loading through the hands. Flip it all the way over. Reach up and back with the left hand, opening through the chest. Coming all the way back over. We'll all come into one-legged dog and then step the left hand through between the hands. Left foot. You know what I meant. Crescent lunge. Warrior two. Flipping the top hand over and reverse. Keep that depth through the lunge. Back to warrior two, into our evolved warrior. Nice and controlled, lower that knee down to the floor. Then option to stay here in the twist. Right hand comes down and at the foot. Release the foot nice and slow. Pressing all the way back up. Back to warrior two. Crescent lunge. Hands come down. Press the ground away, create that space. Knee into the chest. One-legged dog. Set it down. Let's take a moment here in our downward facing. Option also to come to the knees, take a child's pose or a puppy pose. Or staying up in your downward facing. And just taking any movement that feels good here. You can walk out the legs, take the side to side hips, take a twist. Whatever you like, whatever feels nice. Nice, then we're all going to come into a squat. So you can walk the feet in a little bit closer and come down into your malasana position. If you need the heels elevated here, then just pop a cushion or a blanket underneath the heels. That's fine, just to give you that little bit of support there. And then we're going to take a little bit of opening here. So taking the right hand to the left ankle, and then Open the elbow up towards the ceiling and then open the arm, reaching up as tall as you can. And reverse. Close the elbow, bring it down towards the floor. Twisting, opening, close, and back down. Switching over, left hand takes right ankle, bend through the right elbow, reach up to the ceiling, open up through the arm, close, down towards the floor, touch the elbow if you can, or just towards the floor, open, reach, close, and down. Nice. Here, now taking the hands in front of you, either flat or on the fingertips, and we'll just start to straighten through the legs. So they don't need to straighten all the way, just as much as you can to feel that stretch through the hamstrings, and then back down into your squat. Open, close. If you have quite a lot of range here already, you can try keeping the hands flat on the floor. Nice, back down into your squat and sit all the way down onto your bum. Okay, from here, take the feet out in front of you, just a little wider than hip width apart, and drop the knees over to one side. Back to center, over to the other side. Okay, this is option one for you. Just keep going here from side to side. If you want to add on a little bit, we take the hands off. See if you can keep nice and upright, so as you come through the center, you're not collapsing into the lower back. Okay, either continuing here, if you want to add on again, then next time you come over to one side, from here we're going to lift up, extend the hips forward. As you come back, think about this front hip, or the butt cheek of this front hip is reaching the ground first. It won't, but that's the cue that we want to use to get that hip driving back. Over to the other side, lift up, lower with control, and now this front hip is trying to come down first. Up, drive that front hip down. Nice, back to the center. Okay. Taking the feet to the floor now with a little bit of a narrower stance, we're going to lower all the way down onto our back. So you can either hold onto the back of the legs or have the hands by the side, but we want to be able to lower down nice and controlled. Stick with me if you can, a little bit more. Don't rush the last bit. It's nice. Pause right here, right before we reach the bottom, and all the way down. Beautiful. Okay. Here we're going to take a low bridge. So take the feet about hip width apart and have the knees tracking over the feet, so not out here. Tuck through the tail so that the low back presses into the floor. And then let's start to lift up through the hips. Squeeze the glutes, hips drive up towards the ceiling. But keep a little bit of a tuck through the pelvis so that we're not allowing excessive arch through the low back. Option here, take the arms up, makes it a little bit more difficult. And take the arms overhead. And then let's lower all the way back down to the floor. Nice. You're going to repeat that one 2 times with around a 2 to 5 breaths hold for each one. You can explore with the arms, you can try taking one leg off and then the other, or you stay with me and we're going to try a wheel pose, coming up into a full back bend. So for this one, I'm going to enter in the same way, except the hands are going to be up here facing down towards the toes. So you'll tuck the pelvis under, start to lift the hips up, press into the hands, nice and strong, come over lightly onto the head, and then keep pressing all the way up, driving the chest forwards, as if you're trying to get the shoulders over the hands, and press into the feet. Keep that little tuck through the pelvis. Let's hold for 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. Start to lower down, tuck the chin in towards the chest, and all the way down. Just let the knees knock in towards each other and rest here for a moment. We're going to take one more. Again, option for the low bridge or the wheel. Take a nice deep recovery breath. Let's prepare for our second round. Fingertips face down towards the toes. Tuck the pelvis under. Start to lift the hips up onto the head. Press the ground away. Straighten through the arms. Drive the chest forward, push through the feet. And hold for 5, 4, 3, 2, and 1. Start to lower down, tuck the chin all the way down. This time let's hug the knees into the chest and have a little roll side to side. Steady the breath. Okay, extending out through the left leg. Keep the right leg in. Now you're either just going to pull this knee into the chest or option for a half happy baby here. So holding onto the outside of that right foot and drive that knee towards the armpit. Keep this left hip driving down into the floor. Okay, now before we release, see if you can let go of the foot, but keep the knee where it is. You feel that work happening through the hip. It's a little bit more active here. And then release down along the floor. Left knee in towards the chest. Repeating this one on this side or taking that half happy baby pose. Drive the right hip down to the floor, left hip back towards the armpit. Okay, before we release, just letting go of the foot. See if you can keep driving that knee back towards the armpit. Flex the foot. Feel that work happening deep in the hip. And release. Nice. Bringing the right knee back into the chest. And let's take a little twist here. Twisting across the body. If your knee can't reach the floor, just place your hand there in a fist, or you can bring the other knee up beside it as well. Let's take the arms out to a cactus shape. Think about driving that right shoulder blade down towards the floor whilst keeping either the knees together or this knee planted down into the floor. Nice. Coming back over onto your back, switching sides. Driving the shoulder blade down into the floor, nice and active. Nice. Making your way back over onto your back. Let's hug both knees into the chest again. You can hold on to the opposite wrist and then just giving the ankles a little roll. Change direction. Okay, releasing the knees. Take the feet up towards the ceiling. You can keep bending the knees and then the arms up. And let's continue just to take those ankle and add in the wrist circles. Change direction. Nice, give everything a little bit of a shake. And coming down, taking the soles of the feet together, let the knees fall out to the side. Seeing if you can let go of any tension here. Really just let yourself melt into the mat. And just returning to check in with your mood or that main emotion that was present earlier. Has anything shifted? Or perhaps your relationship to that mood has shifted. Just observing that. Taking note of any physical sensations now present in the body, especially the chest, the belly, the throat, the face. And if something has shifted for you, see if you can make an intention to take this new feeling, this new state of being with you off the mat. It doesn't have to be separate. This state that we cultivate in our practice can also be the state that we take with us into other aspects of our life. That's the idea. It's a journey, and it's a work in progress for me as well. But we don't have to separate out our lives so much to this is my practice, this is my meditation, this is the rest of my life. Nice. Slowly bringing the knees back together. I'm going to roll off onto the side. Just pausing here. Slowly pressing yourself back up to a seated position. Let's take the hands over the heart center, and we'll just close the practice with 3 sighing out breaths together. Inhaling through the nose. Let out an audible sigh. Inhale. Last one. Inhale. Thank you so much for joining me today. I hope you enjoyed that practice. And please subscribe to my channel if you haven't already. It really helps me out. And give me a comment at what you'd like to see in the next class. Thanks so much. Enjoy the rest of your day. Bye.